there's all of these opportunities to have these really cool scientific discoveries right outside our front doors.
There's wildlife right here in your backyard.
They're out there, and kind of keep a mindful watch on them.
Try to always look at the place where you live with fresh eyes.
Welcome to Ecosystems Live. In this set of 4 videos, you'll learn about how the environment and human actions impact animals, as well as how you can investigate what animals live near you. Today we have 4 experts here to help us discover nature that may be close to you. Aaron Grade with ICF, as well as Liz Burke, Tony Davis, and Susanna Lerman with the USDA Forest Service. We're so excited to share their expertise with you. And they're joined today with our host, also from the Forest Service, Farah Masumi.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. In our first video, we discovered how you can affect what mammals live near you. In our second video, we learned how you can affect what insects live near you. But today, we're going to talk about how you can look for signs of these animal neighbors so you can tell who has been visiting your yard or area. But before you go running out your door to search for wildlife, please be safe. If you come across an animal, keep your distance. While most animals don't want to harm you, they are wild and unsafe to approach. Be sure to keep your distance and don't disturb the wildlife.
Stay on the designated trails because those trails are already impacted and already been disturbed. So we don't want to create any new disturbance by creating new paths.
The land is the animal's home after all. So if you trash the outdoors, you trash their home. Please don't litter, destroy plants, or touch nests. But before you even go outside at all, make a game plan. Figure out what animal you want to see and then do some research so you know what signs that animal leaves.
Each species is different and has different behaviors. For example, you could use your hearing to hear bird calls and songs for a lot of species of birds, but you're not going to hear a salamander. You use the behavior of the animals, and then you use your senses to find the wildlife.
The next step in your research is to read about the signs the animal you're looking for leaves behind. There are many different clues they create that tell you where they've been.
There are stories that can actually be told by observing the tracks that are left behind by animals in an ecosystem.
Tracks are sort of the classic way of observing where wildlife has been. These are footprints that animals leave behind.
Ecosystem super sleuths will know to look for tracks in areas that might capture a good print. These would be areas near water, maybe in the snow.
Or if there's some mud around, like some fresh, wet mud, go outside and just see what you can see.
But if you find animal tracks, don't follow them. You don't want to accidentally run into the animal that created them. If you're having trouble identifying a set of tracks, take a picture. You can always look it up online. Tracks are a very obvious way to observe traces of wildlife, but another one is looking for signs of their homes. These could be holes in the ground, cavities in trees, or nests. But not all animals make the same kind of nest.
The Baltimore Oriole makes an amazing pocket-like nest that has an opening at the top and uses some stems and branches of the trees where it's found. Whereas you might have cavity nesters, things like owls and woodpeckers, who will actually go into a hollowed out area of the trunk of a tree as they try to make a good habitat for their brood or their young.
Animal homes are fun to see, but seeing the animal that makes those homes is even more fun. And that may be easier than you think. In our first episode, we talked a lot about how scientists use camera traps, which is a mounted camera that takes pictures when it detects motion. Well, you don't have to be a professional to set one up. You can try it out too.
People put cameras up in their house to see what their cats are doing all day. So you can do the same thing outside, just putting it up in a certain area just to monitor the squirrel.
In addition, you can participate in mammal camera experiments. It turns out that there's ways, with the permission of an adult, of course, to set up camera traps yourself and then to upload them to different websites where scientists all over the world can use those photos to conduct really large studies of mammals all across the world.
That's so cool. You can help out and be a civic scientist. Cameras really are amazing tools, but some animals, like birds, can be difficult to catch on video. But if you just go outside and stay quiet, you may be surprised by what you hear.
Sounds are a wonderful way to identify the type of animals that are in a particular ecosystem.
Even though I have my binoculars and I'm hoping to see a lot of birds, birds are incredibly vocal. And so I can go out and pretty much close my eyes and I can tell you what species are present based on the different types of songs that I'm hearing.
But you may be thinking, well, I can't identify birds by their sounds. Fair enough, but there are a couple of ways to help with that. The first is to study a little bit before you go out exploring.
You can research online, go to an app like Merlin ID and be able to hear different types of birds' songs.
Another thought is that you can actually record the bird sounds and try to identify them online later.
Similar to camera traps, we can set up these audible recording units that capture the sounds that we're hearing outside in these different types of ecosystems.
Of course, animals don't just make noise all day, they also eat. You can check out what insects and herbivores have been in your area by the plants they've been eating.
It's important to understand what type of plant different animals are more likely to feast on. But even the way that leaves are cut off, whether it's a straight cut like a rabbit would make, or whether it's more chewed off like a deer would make, even little holes in the leaves where small insects are munching on that type of vegetation.
Of course, for any animal, what goes in must come out. All animals poop, but we like to call it scat when we find the droppings of wildlife because it sounds cleaner.
Scat is a little bit more of a pleasant word that we use, but a lot of people would just call it animal poop. And animals do it like everyone else.
But why does fecal matter? Well, different animals create different looking scat, so it can help us identify what animals have been in an area.
You can walk into an area even sometimes many months after some of these animals have come through. And if you know the shape and the size of the scat that that animal leaves, you might be coming into an area that a deer has been by, or maybe it's a little bigger and it's an elk, bigger yet and it's a moose.
Scat also helps us identify what an animal has been eating.
Oftentimes you can see seeds and whatnot in animal scat to identify what their preference is.
Scat is interesting to see, but it can carry diseases and other germs. So, as I'm sure you already know, don't touch it. On a personal note, I prefer not to smell scat, but that doesn't mean you can't identify other scents of local wildlife.
Don't underestimate your sense of smell, especially during different types of the year. You can really smell when elk are in the area. So those are things you can kind of learn by being outside. There'll be a musky smell. And I bet you anyone here knows exactly what a skunk smells like, because boy, I can tell when a skunk has sprayed.
So true. Tracks, nests, cameras, sounds, plants, poop, and scents. So many ways to identify animals in your area. You can also look for fur or feathers on the ground, eggs that have been hatched, scratch marks on trees and rocks. We really could be here all day. But however you choose to observe animals, the most important thing you can do is be safe.
The best safety tip if you're going to go out into nature is to be with a bunch of other people if you can. I wouldn't recommend going outside really deep into the woods or something alone.
So if you're going out, let people know where you're going. If you come across an animal, respective, it's their home that you're visiting, trying not to get too close to the animal. If you find a nest, try not to spend too much time at the nest, especially if it's active.
Also wear pants and long sleeves to protect yourself from ticks, mosquitoes, and poison ivy or oak. Bug repellent will also help prevent ticks and mosquitoes from biting you. It can be hazardous while looking for signs of animals, but this fun activity can be done safely. We just have to have an appreciation for where we are going and the animals we are looking for and their homes.
Appreciate the ecosystems where you live. And remember, you are a part of and not apart from these ecosystems as well. There's a lot that the ecosystem does for you, and there's a lot you can do for your ecosystem.
We have the great opportunity to be able to protect the resources that have been given to us.
And speaking of resources, there's one more episode left of Ecosystems Live.
In 1 week, join us for a live question and answer program where our experts will answer your questions live. Leave a question in the comments section of this video and we'll try to answer it during the stream. If you think of questions later, you can also write it down in the comments section of the stream while we're live. All of our videos and streams will be available on the Natural Inquirer YouTube channel. While you're waiting for next week's video, try out our Nature Nearby challenge. Now that you know all of the ways to safely investigate animals, go outside and give it a try. If you'd like a great jumping off point, our friends at the Natural Inquirer created a handy observation log you can download for free. Fill out the form while you document signs of wildlife. When you're done, be sure to show your observation log to a parent or a teacher so they can see what you found. You may even surprise them. Ecosystems Live, Nature Nearby is a part of the FSNatureLIVE series. Check out all of our programs on our website. We have programs on caves, freshwater, grasslands, pollinators, and much more. The FSNatureLIVE series is brought to you by a partnership with the USDA Forest Service and the Natural Inquirer. The Natural Inquirer is a program that takes scientific research papers and rewrites them in easy-to-understand language for students at many different grade levels. All of their materials are free to order or download on their website. In fact, they even have an article called Fishing Around, Discovering the Habitat Needs of the Pacific Fisher, which discusses how scientists determine the types of landscape characteristics that attract this mammal. And this is just one of their publications about providing animals with their ecosystem needs.
So after you finish this video, you might as well keep exploring these other amazing resources and then take some time to explore the nature nearby.